I always thought the worst kind of betrayal was being hurt by someone you loved. But I was wrong. There's something far worse being betrayed by someone who says it was all for your own good. My mother used to tell me that everything she did, every choice, every silence, every lie, was to protect me. For your own good, she'd say, and I believed her. Because when you're a child, your mother's love feels sacred, untouchable, like a shield. But hers was a shield that cut both ways. And one day, it stopped protecting and started wounding. I grew up in a small apartment in a noisy city. Our life was simple, not poor, but quiet. Too quiet. And there was something in the way she looked at me, like she was watching over a secret instead of a daughter. She never let me sleep at friends' houses. She hated when I stayed out late. She said the world was dangerous, that people couldn't be trusted. When I was a teenager, I thought she was paranoid. When I became an adult, I realized she was scared. I was 27 when the first crack appeared. I had my own place, a job, a small life that finally felt mine. But still, her phone calls came every night at 10. Always the same questions. Are you home? Did you eat? Did you lock the door? It was suffocating, but familiar. And sometimes familiarity feels safer than freedom. Then one morning the phone rang. It was the hospital. My mother had collapsed. By the time I got there, she was pale, breathing slowly, her hand cold in mine. On the table beside her bed was an envelope with my name written in her shaky handwriting. And below it, a note. If I don't wake up, read this. My heart froze. I waited until she fell asleep. Then I opened it. Inside was a letter and a death certificate. The name on it made my hands tremble. My father, but that couldn't be. He had died when I was 8, or so she'd told me. The date said otherwise. He had died 10 years later, which meant he had been alive all that time. I read the letter, and the words shattered everything I thought I knew. I had to tell you he was gone. He left, sweetheart. He chose another family, and I couldn't bear to see you waiting for someone who would never come back. My mother had killed my father, not with her hands, but with her lies. She buried him inside my childhood. She made me mourn a man who still breathed. And when he finally died for real, I didn't cry because, for me, he'd already been dead for years. I sat there in that hospital room watching her sleep, and for the first time in my life, I didn't see strength in her face. I saw fear, I saw guilt, I saw love, twisted, broken, desperate love. When she woke up, I didn't tell her about the letter. I didn't tell her I knew, but something between us changed. The sound of her voice, the way she said my name. It all felt staged now, rehearsed, like a play she'd been performing for decades. A few weeks later, I was going through her things and found a small box with cassette tapes inside, each one labeled with dates, and one of them said, her 8th birthday. I found an old player, put the tape in, and pressed play. At first, I heard her voice soft, warm, singing happy birthday. Then another voice joined, a man's deep, gentle, saying my name and speaking my dear daughter, my father. He was there, he had been there that day. The same day she told me he had died in an accident. The sound started to warp, and I pressed stop. Tears blurred everything. Rage, sadness, disbelief, all mixed into one heavy ache. When I finally confronted her, she just looked at me and said, "You don't understand. He was leaving, and I couldn't take it. So you lied to protect me from what, exactly?" She hesitated, then whispered, "From abandonment." That word. It felt like a punch. She was afraid I'd feel the same emptiness she had felt. But in trying to protect me from it, she gave it to me instead. I spent my entire life mourning a man who wasn't dead, building a ghost out of someone who had chosen to live without me, and when he finally died, I had nothing left to grieve. She passed away months later, and all she left behind was a legacy of love built on fear. Sometimes I look in the mirror and search for a face I never really knew. His face and hers, both living inside me like shadows. And I wonder, was what she did out of love or out of loneliness? I'll never know. But every time I hear someone say, "It's for your own good," my body goes still, because I learned in the hardest way possible that sometimes what's meant to protect you is what breaks you the most.